Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of WTF Walk the Floors. I'm Stephanie Ledger with First Rate Hospitality, and I'm joined with my co-host, Michelle Kline of Kline Hospitality. How are you today, Michelle?
I'm doing great, Stephanie. How are you doing?
Very well. We're into the new year, and what do we have going on today?
We have someone very special in the house. We have Cheri Roberts, who has recently joined Kline Hospitality. So I'm actually very, very excited about this episode today. Cheri has an impeccable, remarkable background in food and beverage. And quite honestly, she's probably one of the best, if not the best, F&B operators from both a performance and a leadership standpoint that I have run into in my career. So of course I had to have her. Cheri, welcome to the our podcast. Thank you for being here. We want to kick off with, how did your career in F&B unfold? We want to know the whole story.
It was by accident. I never thought I would get into this crazy world. I went to a bar. They asked me if I knew how to bartend. I said yes, lied through my teeth, and fell in love. There's something about the hospitality world that just grabs you. And once you're a hospitality person, you want more and you drive the craziness. And F&B is definitely that. I got really into the operations, into the details, into all the moving parts. And it just made me want to learn more and more and more. And coming from Chicago, I went to Florida, worked in operations there. And then when I came to Vegas, I just wanted to be a bartender, right? To be on this Las Vegas strip. And then I wanted to just be a bar manager. And then I just wanted to be an AGM. Then I just wanted to be GM. Then I wanted to be further. And then I got it all. And then I'm like, okay, what do I do now? And now it's led me to wanting to show young generations how to prevail in this crazy industry and how to train and coach them through the million different things that happen on a daily basis, because you don't sit in a desk, you don't have an assigned job, you have everything coming at you all the time. And sometimes it's just not taught or even thought of. You're just expected to know. And that is not the way that we need to move forward our industry, especially how detailed it is and how many hats you have to wear at one time.
Oh, yes.
I love everything you said.
In food and beverage.
Yeah, it's different than, maybe a hotel, because people get drunk, people get crazy. There's, people's expectations. They're paying a lot of money for an experience. And if you don't deliver that, it's on you, and you're the manager on the floor, and there's no one to blame. You have to be able to take it and then, delegate and teamwork. And you have to really empower everybody on your staff to do the right thing and to be there when they have questions. And I think that's a big fault in our industry that we need to change is there's nobody who's there to teach and to help and to, push these kids forward. Even if you're a server, you should know what to do if XYZ happens. And I think that that's a point that we're missing, that we need to really push to keep things good.
Love it. So we're continuing on to our series of talking about inspections. And Cheri, I want to get your insight with talking about food and beverage inspections. Why is it important, continuing on what you're talking about with training the staff, but why should we making sure that we're doing inspections in food and beverage and with your staff as well?
I really think it holds true to the integrity of the company, the guest experience, because at the end of the day, all the labels, all the SOPs, all the inspections that we do all boils down to that 2 hours that guest is in our restaurant or bar and the experience that they feel when they leave. So if you don't care about that, all the rest doesn't matter. So if you're walking through with your checklist and you're just checking a box, well, that's not really enhancing the experience. It's not making you the gesture for the guests to say, I appreciate you walking in my doors, and I'm going to do my very best to make sure that you're getting the experience that you deserve. And I think that's really the biggest part of inspections. And yes, of course, the health codes and all that, but
Cheri, what is it that you look for when you inspect? So keeping at the forefront the fact that you want to make sure that you are delivering the best experience and it's memorable, and you're hitting all these different areas where your guest expectation, right, so to speak. But are there specific things, like if you were to describe what that inspection looks like, is there anything specific you're looking for? What are some of the standards that you would normally have within your realm of these are the things that I look for? But then are there any tidbits that you can share with us, things that we're not looking for?
Sure. When I walk through a facility, the first thing I always check are the bathrooms, because when someone goes to the restroom, if that bathroom is dirty, what does the kitchen look like? So you have to
Totally.
equate it from there. Like, because if you have a dirty bathroom, what does their kitchen look like? Is the chicken on top of all the rest of the meats? Like, is it dripping? That's what I think of when I go into the bathroom, and it's something so simple that every single staff member can do it. And if they're failing on that, I know that list gets a lot longer, but it's the first general appearance are the booths tailored? Is everything manicured? Are there chips? Is the painting done? When you walk in, do you get a smile? And then once you can see that flow, then you work to the back of the house, which is always more detailed, and the bar. The SOPs, the consistency, asking questions of the staff. When did you label this? How did you label this? Where are your day dots? And if they can't come up with a response, I know my job gets a lot tougher. If they know it, it means the training is there. And maybe now we go into a little bit more details, how to keep that consistency going. And really, it's just keeping up and actually taking the inspection, looking what's wrong and fixing it, not having this big, long laundry list and saying, oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. No, no, no. You have to do it now. And that's once you keep it up, it's like laundry. If you keep it up, it's good, and it's the way I explain it to my staff. I'm like, if you have 5 piles, it's a lot to get through. But if you have 3 different things today, you fix it in the next couple of days, then you can work on the next thing.
Yeah.
Perfect. And
Stephanie, before you jump onto your next question, I have a quick one. Cheri, how often would you say is A, the standard, and B, if you want to get better at it, how often should inspections happen? Like a
I think
deep, thorough inspection.
a deep thorough should come, I think, every 2 weeks with a daily soft inspection. So that way you have, you do your soft inspections every day, then you have about 2 weeks to fix those and then do a deep dive. And once you get consistent with this, it doesn't take that long, because if you're doing everything right, it's there. So that way you can pinpoint things. It can't just be once a month, because what if the health inspector comes 2 weeks before your once a month? You're not keeping up with regulations, with everything that you're supposed to be doing. And then you can catch employees doing the wrong things. Are they not putting gloves on? Are they not washing their hands? Are they touching their face? Is their hair not pulled back? Is the food being rotated? Are the juices? I mean, I could go on. There's 1,000 things, right? But you can't do that all in one day. But you can do a general overview, and about every 2 weeks, I feel, is a really good inspection.
Perfect. And I like how you were talking about consistency as well, especially in food and beverage. We tend to have maybe more employees that are on a part-time basis. They have other gigs or other jobs that they're going after. So we may only see that employee say 2 or 3 times out of the week compared to a regular normal 5-day shift, and also too of just their level of experience in the food and beverage. So you may now have that guest that is now interacting with one of your newer employees and maybe new into food and beverage. How can you making sure too that consistency is being met between your seasoned, your part-time, and even your new hires?
Meaningful pre-shifts.
Amen.
Because that is when you get everybody's intention, and it has to be part of the daily routine. It has to be done with intention, and it has to be done for them to learn and for them to understand the importance of why they have to do that. Like, if they're just like, oh, I opened the cooler, everything's there. No. How long has the juice been there? Is the fruit bad? There's all these other things that go along with it. But if you're just going through the process and not understanding the importance of it, and reminding people, if you have a girl that's there 2 days a week, she's not gonna be like, oh, is the fruit okay? You're like, no, in pre-shift, hey, bartenders, make sure X, Y, and Z is done. So it's being on the front, like the front foot of it. And that's what your job is. You're the leader. You have to make sure that they understand why their job is important. It's more than just pouring drinks or cooking food or taking an order.
I love that. Why their job is
Yes.
important and also how they are adding value to the bigger
Yeah.
picture. Sometimes they feel like, oh, I just do this. Well, you just do this. But the fact that you're just doing that adds value or subtracts. So
Right.
it's so critical to explain to them too how they are the ones that are moving the needle as part of the entire team too.
And I think it also gives them a sense of ownership. If taking pride in what you do, because at the end of the day, when you don't have to worry about that and you're not getting in trouble by your manager, you give a better guest experience because you stand a little bit taller. You're like, you know what, my whole station is ready to rock, like let's go. And then you have that confidence and being like, where's my lime juice, where's my vodka, where's this. You're prepared and you're ready to give that guest everything they want. And at the end of the day, it saves money. And it's
Yes.
there's not a really big profit margin in restaurants sometimes, and every little bit helps. So I mean, it just goes full circle.
Yeah,
Perfect.
every penny
So
counts.
if we're a food and beverage manager and we know that we're running around, we're really focusing on the day-to-day operation, we're saying, you know what, I can't do it alone. I need to hire an outside company that does provide this audit and training. What should the food and beverage leaders look at when they are shopping around and looking at companies to bring in to being able to assist them?
I think the first would be interviewing somebody that's actually been in their position before. Somebody who's been in operations on the floor and have gone through those inspections and knows what the health department is looking for, what the fire department is looking for. Because if you don't have that experience, how can you tell another company to do that? Just because you're a consultant doesn't mean you know what's going on. Also, knowing the rules and regulations that are changing. What are the new rules? What is going on? Do we have to put chicken 8 inches apart instead of 6 now? Because they change all the time, and it really depends on your local city as well. So you have to have somebody that's in the know, and that somebody is there to provide you with what you need, not everything, right? You can always find a problem with everything, but if this looks good, let's focus on really what's going to get you to the next step and then fine tune it from there. Because a lot of times consultants will come in and they want to change everything, and then it's so hard to change everything at one time. Let's focus, let's implement, and like, let me give you my time, my dedication, and then we'll make it happen.
Yes, baby
That's
steps.
Yeah.
baby
Too
steps
often
and
it's a
focusing on those things that will move the needle faster, right? The low hanging
absolutely.
Yeah.
fruit.
Absolutely, because it's once you get that done, you can move on to bigger things, more detailed things, and there's a better understanding of why you're doing it. It's almost methodical in how you want to go and find somebody, and then that really fits your personality too, because you want them to be your partner. They're not your
Yes.
boss,
Yeah,
but you
great
definitely
point.
want to be like, okay, you got my back. Like, let's work together and like let's do this.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely. Do you have a question, Stephanie?
Yeah, it's just also too, what have you noticed as one of the main items that restaurants or lounges or bars are missing when it comes to an audit? Is there a certain area that we're noticing across the board that needs to have more focus or pay attention to?
One of the biggest things is if there's something broken or wrong, not trying to hide it. So if an inspector comes and say the kitchen, or let's say the cooler behind the bar is not up to temp, we'll say, you know what, this is up to temp. We took everything out. We acknowledged it. We're getting service. People try to hide issues, and when you're trying to scramble around hiding something from an inspector, they think something is wrong. If you acknowledge and you talk to them and ask them their opinion, be like, what do I need to do? It softens the blow. It doesn't make it look like but it looks like you're proactive. And then never using your fingers behind the bar on your fruit.
Elaborate, please elaborate.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. No, you're busy behind the bar and you want to grab a lime with your hand and a cherry to put on top. And the inspector sees that and they're like, oh my God, no, where's your tongs? Where's your soda water? Where's
Yes.
the water to put it in? It's those little things. Or if they ask you for your health card, washing your hands after you have your health card, because they're like, you just took something from your pocket and then you're going to serve food. So it's those little tidbits that maybe a new manager isn't going to notice or know, but having somebody there to teach them that maybe the GM or AGM doesn't have time to do. That's why the consultant really works, because it's fine tuning those little things and a complete understanding of your whole staff of what needs to happen when the health department walks in. And if you're ready for it, it's no big deal. Like, it's cool. I've never had a bad inspection. I've had to deal with things that came up in inspection, but if you know what's going on, you got it. And you can always, just tell them, be like, this is what happened. Like, cause crap happens every day in a restaurant, but it's learning how to deal with them and, not, and I can't think of the word, but not having it, like, not having that lime touch your hand. That's a big demerit. It's something stupid like that. So it should just be best practices all the time.
I love, Cheri, that you say you never had a bad inspection, but you've had things you had to deal with during an inspection, right? Regardless if the inspection is going great, which leads me to a quick WTF moment where I was going through a health inspection of the main kitchen at a resort, and the chef was on the other side of the cold line, and he was looking at me, and all of a sudden I see that he looks down at the table, and when I look at the table, there was this gigantic cockroach walking across the table. So my initial instinct was to look at him quickly and then look at the inspector to make sure that he wouldn't see me, and I put my hand over it and squish it, and I could feel like right.
But it happened. Like, you fixed it. Like,
you fix it, right? You make it happen. No cockroaches anywhere else were found, right? And we passed the inspection with flying colors. And obviously, the executive chef was 100% in my pocket at this point. We were buddies, right? We're in this crime together kind of situation. So what has been, I'm sure you've had 5,000 stories, that WTF type of stories that you can think of, right? But if you were to pinpoint one, what would that be?
I had a recent inspection, and I was brand new on the team, and I was just the one there, right? I didn't know all their SOPs yet. I was like 3 weeks into being there. The inspector goes in the back. The salamander, which is like where you melt cheese, was broken, and they were putting stuff in there. And she's like, why is that happening? And I'm like, oh my God, like, what happened? I'm like, you know what? We blew a fuse earlier today, made up like this thing. And then I was like, you know what? But I know that you have a red sticker that we need, because that's when something can't be used because it doesn't go to temp. I was waiting for you to come so I can get one of those for you. And she's like, oh, thanks for letting me know. And really, I had no idea why this thing wasn't working, why we were putting plates in it, like, what is happening? And then she sits down in a booth and cuts her leg.
Oh no.
Because the staples were sticking out because nobody checked in the inspection. Pre-shift to do it, and she cuts her whole leg. And so, of course, I was like, oh my God, we must have just vacuumed underneath there, and the vacuum must have pulled it out. I'm so sorry. And she's like, oh, mistakes happens, but that could be really dangerous. And it's just dealing with these things that come, right, what happened. But you have to be quick on your feet, because if you're like, I don't know why they didn't inspect that. Well, then she's, but that was definitely one of the worst. She had shorts on, seeing her bleed, and then asking me why kitchen equipment did not work.
So let's begin with the fact that she shouldn't have been wearing shorts going to an inspection, right? Let's just start right there. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, I never thought I should have put that on you. Why you have shorts on?
Right?
For that would have gotten that
A. Stephanie, can you recall an F&B moment?
Oh yeah, I have many, but I just, speaking of which, of talking about hands touching the garnishes, this literally just happened within the last week. I was doing a food and beverage inspection for a new place, and they they're known for their crafty cocktails. So here they are. What they do is they chuck the ice. So if you're looking to have like a cube, like maybe in a Manhattan or a Negroni, and so here I am sitting at the bar, and I am watching the bartenders. They are chucking the ice from the big block, and no gloves at all. So here they are touching all of the ice to making it into the cube and putting it directly into the drink, and then serving it to me. So that was not a
An
pretty
epic
sight.
fail.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, no gloves, just plain. And I get it because of the grip of ice, but at the same time, there is no excuse for the way of them directly touching ice out of anything.
They have special gloves for ice too that gives you grip.
Yeah.
Like, they've thought of it all. So there's no excuse. And that manager on duty should have been like, my fail too, because why didn't you
Yeah.
see that? Because
Yeah.
it's everybody's fault or a server. But, sometimes those crafty bartenders, we sometimes think we're above all that. It takes away from the presentation and nobody's going to catch us. But in the long run, somebody always does. And it always happens at the wrong time.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah. I love it when it's me and I'm at the bar and I'm like, I'm your worst nightmare.
I love when I'm able to go in a restaurant and everything's good and you don't have to think about it. But how often does that really happen? It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, there's always something, and you're like, we've gone out to dinner. We're like, oh, we can fix that. Oh, what is going on with that? What is going on with that? And those are the things that really matter, because that's going to make guests come back.
Yeah.
You have that flawless experience, and the bathrooms are clean, the dishes are clean, the menus are clean, the check presenter is clean, the POS is up to date. The cue cards work. It's all jiving in your way. And if you see a bartender take an extra 30 seconds to put a glove on or use tongs, you're not going to get mad that drink's a little bit. Like, you're going to be like,
No.
I respect the fact that they're doing their job and keeping us healthy, especially after
Yes.
everything that's happened. So, and I think
Yes.
that's what people forget too.
That's great. So to wrap this up, I think that it's very clear to state, and I'm sure that all our entire audience would agree with this, that there is so much that goes to it. So
Yes.
much, especially in food and beverage, where now we're talking about someone's health,
Absolutely.
right? So making sure that even though we tend to go, especially in the last couple of years, through this revolving door of bringing in new staff, bringing in new management, losing people, acquiring new ones, it is so critical to have someone who really has the knowledge and can think of absolutely every single detail to make sure that the experience ends up being the experience that you're committing through your brand to anyone who walks through your door.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree even more, especially with all the competition that's going on now. There's 100 different restaurants within, a 20-mile, especially here in Vegas. So what makes you stand out? And it's those little things that really happen. And if some strawberries are bad, throw them out, because that little waste compares nothing to somebody getting sick off of them and all the damage that it can do to your reputation. And
Yeah.
that's something we have to think about too. So, what, $5 down the drain, or a plethora of bad Yelp reviews and somebody getting sick, and then the health department having to come in if they report, like, it's a disaster. So having somebody that can really teach you and make you understand the importance of these little things. Everybody understands the big things, but it's the small details that make or break the difference, I believe.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
it.
Cheri Roberts, Vice President, Kline Hospitality. Thank you so much for being on the show. We'll bring you back with more tips and ideas, hopefully in the future. But thanks again for your time and for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.